Good evening. Welcome. Instagram is live. Facebook is slowly going live. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well out there. All right, everybody. Welcome to Joel's College of Swing Era Knowledge. All right. Good evening, everyone. Joel's College of Swing Era Knowledge. Monday, Jazz. Tuesday, Charleston. Wednesday, Lindy Hop and Jitterbug. Thursday, Evening Swing here in Spokane, Washington. Friday, Shag. Saturday, Balboa and Bell Swing. And Sunday, a discussion for teachers and organizers. Oh, let me get Instagram set up here. Okay. There we go. All right. So tonight is going to be an interesting chat, if you will. I think Sundays are always interesting on the teacher organizer front. Not so much getting up and moving and grooving, but chatting about things. And let me see if I can. Well, I'm going to post a pic. I made a PDF of my talking points today, and I'll share that so you can have that for your own community. So this is an interesting chat tonight. Our topic is for not only teachers but organizers. Some thoughts on COVID and where we go from here. And if we have time, level review stuff. But we'll see if there's questions out there that we want to chat about and whatnot. And again, I will post this right after the talk in a comment so you can have a copy of this and print this off. Basically, okay, I want to read a couple things. There is, whether you know it or not, there is a COVID organizer group where a lot of people have been chatting about things that could possibly happen and whatnot. And I gotta admit, it was getting a little dark. A lot of people were saying, like, this is it, we're done, we're shutting down, and it doesn't look like we'll ever come back. And I, for one, that was a really tough thing to read. So I think it's going the other direction now. People are thinking of other ideas and thinking outside the box. And this is why I wanted to talk about this tonight in person, live with you. And so I want to read some comments that were from there. So, a dancer had said, as Fauci has said, the virus dictates the timeline until there is a vaccine. I can't imagine anyone risking their health to take dance lessons. And that's true. But I mean, everybody's an individual and everybody's deciding themselves where they are on the spectrum of quarantining 100%, going out a little bit, or just going about your daily life. And I know we all have our own ideas on all of that. So I don't want to go there, but specifically for the organizers of like maybe your local community or even some bigger events. As we know, a lot of bigger events have already canceled, working on refunding all their people and all that stuff. I mean, obviously there were some tough choices that needed to be made. But as far as our local organizers, local instructors, and even some of us that were traveling and teaching and how this has impacted, we can chat about this as well. So going back to this group, I made a comment. I feel like we being the organizers and teachers, we must be there for people when things return the timeline as in other words, like I don't know the exact quote, but like, I mean, all of us are trying to guess and figure out what's going on. But at the end of the day, the virus is going to tell us what's going to happen, because let's just assume we all go back to normal. But if we go back to normal and there's a huge spike and people are getting sick and dying, we obviously cannot do that, right? So, I mean, the virus is going to tell us what's happening. And if the virus has quieted down enough in your local community, I hope that happens for you. And you go back to dancing, whatever that is, and nothing happens to anyone in your town, well, the virus dictates the timeline. We have no idea, and that's the point of tonight's talk. Going back to my comments here, the last thing any of us in any dance community wants is to be front page news of a spike in cases due to our dance community not practicing social distancing. So like I just said, maybe you're in a town where, you know what, we're done. We're going to go back to dancing the way we always did. And a couple things could happen out of that. Like I said, everything could be fine. Yay! Maybe a couple of people get sick, but nobody dies. The worst case scenario, a lot of people get sick and a lot of people die. I mean, let's just get real about this. It could happen. And if that does, I don't want to be the community organizer that organized that dance where that happened. So we've got to be super careful. And again, we're hearing all kinds of information. So I don't want to go down that road. I want to talk about ideas and opportunities. Okay, going back, the biggest issue for all of us is no one, and I mean no one, really knows 100% what we can or should do overall in life to get back to normal. And what's that normal going to be? I mean, and that goes for everybody in every walk of life. So again, let's stay focused on your dance community, you as a dance teacher, you as a dance organizer. Okay. At some point, I am hopeful we can get back to some sense of normal and take some precautionary safe distance steps. And I'm going to go over those that we have brought up in that group. And I've brought them up with other people in our community. If we need to increase the amount of space to 30 feet between people, we'll make that happen. There was a talk about doing dances but staying 6 feet apart, but then someone gave a scientific article about, like, if you're doing physical activity, 6 feet doesn't cut it. And so that was my reply to that comment, saying, like, if we've got to mark off a 30-foot space so that we can get together in some capacity, I'm willing to do it. Bottom line, I, for one, will do whatever I can so that people still know that swing era dancing exists. I'm going to say that again. I, for one, am going to do everything I can in my power to make sure that people are aware that swing era dancing is a thing. All right, and what that means, again, we're going to go through some ideas. Live stream, in person, mega distance, jazz, whatever, we're going to try to keep things going. Because again, the chat was going down a path of like we're done. We got to shut down for longer than a year. This is never going to come back, and this kind of stuff. And okay, that might be true, but I don't want that to be true. And so I'm one that wants to stay optimistic and see what we can do. I think we're doing a lot of neat things, and we'll get into that. So that was me being like, oh, I'm going to do whatever I can, or we can watch this dance completely die away regarding any social interaction in person whatsoever. And if that is the harsh reality of what is going to happen, then I am very grateful for 21 years of being able to share this art form and being able to go out and dance with the masses. So that's the other end of the spectrum. I hope it doesn't go there, but if it does, and this is how we interact from now on, so be it. But let's chat about all the things that are going on. And I am open to any and all suggestions. If you're doing something in your community that I haven't gone over, or once I post, again, I'm going to post in case the numbers jumped up on Facebook. So I'm going to post this after the talk. after I go through everything. If there's something you're doing in your community or a suggestion or an idea that you have, please feel free. This is like a working document that I, for one, am going to kind of keep on the fridge, if you will, and trying to make sure we're doing some of these things in our local community. Okay, so let's get to it. The purpose of this document is to provide ideas for swing dance teachers and communities. This is not intended to diagnose or treat health conditions of any kind. It's not intended to steer you in any direction whatsoever. Obviously, if anybody is sick, they should seek advice from a healthcare provider. And if a dancer becomes ill in your community, you must decide what is the best for your community. This is just a resource. This chat is just a discussion. And so I was listening to a podcast, and a governor was talking about like an essential risk matrix. He wasn't talking about a matrix, but it's a combination of what's essential and what's risky. And as soon as he said that, I don't know why it hit me, and I posted a picture of this on my Facebook a couple days ago. Let me see if I can get this on there. You can kind of see it there. Instagram. Basically, things are either non-essential or very essential, and things are not risky at all versus being extremely risky. And let's face it, despite all the positive benefits that we know about for social swing dancing, social dancing in general, but again, let's stay focused on our genre, social swing dancing, all the positive benefits, at the end of the day, this is not essential, and it kills me to say that out loud, but it's not essential, and it clearly poses a high risk based on the fact that we are physical, we're active, and we're within 6 feet of each other. So we live in a very, very bad quadrant. We are in that very, very bottom. Do not open. You can see that in Instagram. We are in the do not open quadrant. And so again, what do we do in order to figure out what the new normal is? So here are some ideas. And so to be in that stay open quadrant, meaning it's essential and it's low risk. And so for me, I put down on my little talking points, quadrant 1, open ASAP or stay open. Like this is mid to very essential, no to mid risk. This is the positive benefits of movement and dancing, keeping individuals moving. Now this is a key point in this quadrant because we're thinking of individuals, solo dancing, because we're not affecting other people if we're offering a class solo. Okay, first of all, support any of the many online offerings from musicians and professional dancers. There's a lot of them out there. Search them out. It's on Facebook. It's on Zoom. It's all over the place. If you are a community leader, if you personally are not going live. Now for me, I'm here in Spokane. I go live every night at 7 o'clock. On Thursdays, we go live from 7 to 8, which was our normal Thursday evening swing based on our community's votes. I guess I consider myself a resource for our local community. We're looking into offering like Zoom classes, like a beginner workshop and things like that. We'll get into that in a second. But if you're an organizer in a local community and you don't feel comfortable doing this every night, there's tons of resources out there. If you're not willing to do it, find somebody in your community that wants to organize maybe just something you can broadcast to your email list or your local Facebook group chat. Like, here are the things we recommend this week or this evening. I mean, there's a lot of us that are professional dancers that are offering all kinds of things at many different levels. So please utilize us as a resource. Okay? Zoom has now become the big thing. Weekly dances with social sessions. Someone sent me a link to a Lindy Groove in Pasadena, And it was a really neat format. So they went with a Zoom format, and they would have different teachers doing different things, and then they'd kind of blast out where you could see all the dancers doing their things. So again, depending on your comfort level in using Zoom, if you can't do it, maybe find someone in your community that's more well versed and can run a session to kind of keep people interested and involved. And again, this is more toward, like, obviously your community that's already built, right? So you want to keep people together as much as we can, stay together in this environment. And that means individuals going virtual, Zoom meetings. And I've heard, I saw another recommendation out somewhere about breakout rooms. I guess Zoom has different opportunities to do a breakout room. So get creative with those ideas. Maybe you've got some of your dancers that really want to have a chat about Balboa or something. So maybe they go to that breakout room and have a little chat. And just like different ideas, like if you have an hour or two with your local community, things that you can do. And I'm sure you can research other creative opportunities using Zoom and doing stuff with your community, whether that's on a nightly basis or a weekly basis, based on what your availability is, obviously. Again, a real, I think, easy thing, having nightly or weekly jazz fitness sessions. Nick has his Jitter Blast every Tuesday and Thursday, 5 o'clock Pacific time, I believe it is. Jitter Blast, JITTERBLAST. Nick Williams, you might have heard of him. Jitter Blast, he does Tuesdays and Thursdays. But there's another 5 days of the week. Pick a dancer in your community. Have them grab a chunk of a classic routine and say, this is what we're going to go over, and put on music and get people up and moving around. Or we're going to teach the Shim Sham for the next 3 weeks. We're going to teach the Tranky Do. And again, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, reach out to some of us that do this professionally. I know I, for one, would love to come live to your community and share the skills of different classic jazz routines or whatever. And I think if you reach out to my colleagues, I think we'd be willing to work with your community as well. Okay, so there's a comment out there. Breakout rooms on Zoom work really well. School teacher, and they use it a lot. Again, so these are some neat ideas that you can do in your community to make us still feel like a community, given the best situation we can in our environment. Again, this is in quadrant 1, meaning we're safe because we're not close to each other, and it's individuals. We're not setting up the expectation that this is a partnered class. This is solo movement. Okay, so we were talking about jazz fitness. Share a series of classic jazz. I saw another neat idea. Every week, have a Q&A. Have a local dancer spotlight. So this gives us an interesting opportunity on the Zoom session. I know you can mute everybody, but maybe you and the specific dancer that you're going to be talking to. Maybe this actually gets us, when at a social dance, I'm thinking of myself, I go to the social, I teach the class, I dance with people. I'm thinking of the previous normal, dance with people for 2 hours. I rarely ever meet any of the other leaders. I'm dancing with many of the followers, but I'm just dancing with them and I move on to the next one. And it's pretty rare that I have a chance to actually sit down and chat with somebody at a social dance. You can, but then you're not dancing, so we love to dance. This quarantine gives us a very unique opportunity to get up and dance a little bit, and then, hey, we're going to have a Q&A with so-and-so. Let's get a chance to know them a little bit better, or get to know a teacher, or again, reach out to some of my colleagues. When's the last time you had the opportunity to interview Avita Arce, or Michael Jagger, or Nick Williams, or Bobby White? I know all of us that do this for a living, we love to give, and share our stories and stuff. So please reach out to us, and maybe you can have one of us be a guest person on your Zoom session, right, for a couple minutes or whatnot. It could be fun for your local community to ask questions of Joel or Nick or whatever, right? So I don't know. Again, these are just ideas I've seen out there that I want to pass along to you. What's your favorite stuff to do besides dancing? What's your favorite figure? Get up and teach it to us. What's your favorite footwork or styling? Get up and teach it to us. Again, getting your community involved in this situation. I know for us, we've been doing a weekly Shim Sham. We would normally do that every Thursday here in Spokane. So, we go and we do a Zoom session. We've had, I think it was like 40 people last time or something. I think I saw the numbers that we're doing the Shim Sham together. Again, it's not ideal, but we all get a chance to see each other and do the Shim Sham every Thursday like we normally would. So provide that for your community. And of course, virtual private lessons. If you're a teacher, reach out to your people, go one-on-one on a private. Virtual solo class workshop. Maybe set up a 2-hour workshop on a weekend or a night or something, and get out to the community and see if there's still interest for beginners to get involved with swing dancing. I know it's a totally different market and a totally different mindset, but if we can't get them to the social dance to see how cool it is and experience it, how can we still get beginners coming into our community? So offer a virtual solo class workshop, offer virtual solo weekly classes, market that out to people, have dancers in your community, share it with everybody, and see if you can keep your revenue source of new dancers coming in like we normally would at a social dance, but do it virtually. Okay, so that's quadrant 1. That's staying open, doing social distancing, solo classes, solo dances, stuff like that. Okay, quadrant 2, open with caution, is mid to very essential and mid to high risk. We again know the positive benefits of moving and dancing, and now this is more in a focus of maybe keeping couples moving, or dare I say like a small group of people. Again, we're going to stay in the virtual mode here, because in order to stay kind of on the low risk end, we don't want big groups getting together, but maybe obviously like Jackie and I are at home, right? So if we wanted to take Mickey and Kelly's virtual Balboa class and learn how to dance like vertical, I saw that today, Mickey, that was fun. Or take other people's workshops. Jackie and I could do that. So I know there's couples out there that might want to work on things. I'm not encouraging you to like offer couples only classes virtually and try to get people to get together outside of their norm. But again, like now I'm focusing, it's a little bit more risky because it's not solo, but we're still offering all those virtual things we were talking about. So all the opportunities listed in quadrant 1, but focused on couples or those that are quarantining together, roommates, or those willing to meet together. Okay, let's move on to quadrant 3, open as needed. This is the non to mid essential and no to mid risk area. Okay, so this is the area where I feel like, again, we know the positive benefits of movement and dance, and we add in socializing to this quadrant and trying to keep communities moving and involved. Okay, the first thing on this is we've got to be very, very, very flexible, have a very flexible response option if anyone is found to have COVID. In other words, if you set something up and something happens, be ready to stop doing that immediately. What I mean by that is make sure you have very clear policies and clauses in any contracts with your students, your venues, your teachers, because everybody needs to be very flexible. Everybody needs to be willing to understand. We're trying to contact venues who, obviously they're hungry for people to be using their spaces, but make sure you don't mess yourself up financially. Do not sign a contract without reading it closely and them knowing that you want a very clear out clause. Force majeure is one of those legal terms. Act of God. There's other legal things that you might want to look into. Just be careful, because you don't want to sign a contract with a venue and then you have to stop because of whatever reason with the virus, and you still end up having to pay them contractually and legally. So be mindful of that as you move forward with any possible ideas with getting people together in your community. Now, obviously, we need to take steps upon entry to a venue to provide the safest environment. As always, we as dancers knew this before, but I think we're going to be more mindful of this. Don't go out if you feel ill or sick in any way, shape, or form. Wash your hands often. Don't touch your face. Do you want to require masks when you're dancing? I have a question mark on that one. Disinfect all surfaces. Take everyone's temperature as they walk in. And if anyone is above 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, they are immediately sent home. I mean, other businesses are staying open given that their employees go through that process when they walk through the door. Their temperature is taken, and there is a checklist to make sure that that employee is fit to work. And so passing that along to organizers in your local communities, if you choose to go this route, could be a good thing. And again, this whole discussion is not me telling you what you should or shouldn't do. These are just ideas that have been brought up in the community. Okay, so now let's say we have a venue that's willing to work with us. We're very clear with our people that are showing up, the expectations of all the things. And what can we do, though, that's still kind of like no to mid-risk? So again, the whole thought process is 6 feet away. So this is interesting. Why try holding a Jedi class or a Jedi dance? And what I mean by that is you are literally 6+ feet away, but I'm still trying to lead and the follower is still trying to follow. We have done that, we being some of us instructors, as exercises over the years in some of our classes. So that got me thinking, why couldn't we implement something like that? I think it's a great skill lead-wise because I have to have great clarity in my body lead so that the follower I'm dancing with can see the expectation of movement. On the follower's end, they have to have a great visual sense. They have to be aware of the leader's body movement, and they act accordingly. So you can have some social interaction, 6+ feet away dancing. Will it be weird? Absolutely. But it gives us an opportunity to possibly socialize in a safer way. And obviously you need to have someone there to manage that, police that, make sure that we're not getting within 6 feet. Then the next idea is a couples only dance. So like I said, Jackie and I are together, so other people that are couples, they're able to come to the dance, but they only dance together and they're dancing 6 feet plus apart. Again, it's not ideal, it's not what we're used to, but it gives us a chance to socialize a little bit and feel like we're at that social dance without being as risky as back to normal. Offering solo jazz classes and do a social, just solo dancing for the evening, 6+ feet apart. If you do have couples only classes, no rotation, 6 feet apart. The size is based on your community's regulations. This means smaller lessons offered maybe at more locations. This means more teaching opportunities for people in your community, assuming you have the venues that are willing to work with you. Okay, Valerie brings up a good point. Are we getting contact info for people entering the dance lesson? You should. If anybody contracts COVID, you will have to be able to contact everyone who attends that event. Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. So if you're going to go that route where you're going to start to open slowly, I need to write that down, or it's in the comments. I'll make sure I jot that down here. Yes, you have to get on that date everybody's name and number and contact information who was in there. Because again, the worst thing that can happen is we find out someone is ill, and now what do? That person could have infected everybody. Again, I'm not saying this is what we do tomorrow, but I'm talking about realistic ideas. And so yes, every dance that you have, you must have a log and a list of everyone to contact if anything should happen. Great point, Valerie. Thank you. So again, going back to that couples only classes idea, if you're going to go that route, I know here in Spokane there's a ton of like little venues all over the place, and we're trying to contact them to see if they're interested in working with us. And again, what I mean by working with us is if a venue normally charges like whatever, $50 an hour or something, I'm trying to explain to them, look, this is our reality. We may only be able to have 4 couples, that's 8 people, plus the teaching couple, that's 10 people. There was a time in Washington when there was a group of 10 or less. Let's assume that's what we have going forward. So the maximum you can have is 4 couples staying 6+ feet away and a teaching couple. That's it. You obviously have a set revenue given that situation. If the venue is not willing to work with you to try to get some money for their venue and you're able to get some money for your teachers, you obviously can't use that venue. So there's a lot of assumptions going on, but we've all got to start to work together. But this brings up something interesting for your community. Think outside the box. No, we are not going back to that 70, 80, 90, 100 plus person dance. That might not happen for a while. That doesn't mean we can't try different things. So this gives you an opportunity to think outside the box. Go try to find a lot of different venues and you purposely market that way. We are having COVID safe classes. How? Explain. Couples only. No rotation. 6+ feet away. You need to be checked before you come in the door. We get that going. We still offer classes, whether that's beginner classes, intermediate, or advanced. But again, it gives us a sense of community. It keeps this dance alive. And again, we're in quadrant 3. So we're getting into the, like, you need to make a personal decision if you're a local teacher or organizer, if you're going to go this route. Okay, but I don't want to say that it's going to be impossible. We just need to get creative and think differently. Now, what this does for your community, you have all these different venues that you're going to use. I remember when I was teaching with Valerie in Cleveland, like, we wanted to teach east and west and south. We couldn't be everywhere at one time, so we started utilizing other people to teach. So this gives other dancers in your community, if they're willing to get involved, to teach in different locations if they want to. Again, I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm giving you options. So now you need to train your teachers or reach out to those of us that do teacher training and maybe do a little training session with your teachers so they're out there giving the best that they can to new people that want to dance. In the best scenario, let's assume we're able to do a slow rollout with some of these ideas. Oh, let me finish. Okay, so quadrant 4, do not open. Right? This is the non to mid essential. This is the mid to high risk. To me, this is we go back to the way we always did things. And we know that's probably not the safest thing to do. So this is where you do your usual weekly or monthly social dance with no regard to CDC recommendations. You have your large national, international dance event with no regard for CDC recommendations. Or you possibly start to offer small waves of social dancing based on regulations. Right? Like I could decide next week to have the Thursday evening swing dance and open the doors and have everybody come in. I could make that decision, but it's obviously going to have repercussions. And this is, knowing what we know, it is extremely risky. And is it absolutely essential that I do that? No. So that kind of brings back the beginning of our talk. We as swing dancers in our swing community, we are, I hate to say it, but we are not essential and we are very high risk in what we do. But let's get back to being optimistic. Best case scenario, we have these slow rollouts over the next 6 months to a year. We're providing as many virtual things as we possibly can. We're staying as engaged as we can online with people. New people are starting to get excited about the dance because of what they're finding online. We slowly start to roll things out at all these different locations around town because you're getting creative. You're using somebody's basement. You're using a small church room. You've got all these people that are interested in teaching, and you got all these really small little classes of 4 couples here, 4 couples there. Then all of a sudden things are getting better and better, and all of a sudden 4 couples can become 8 couples, and 8 becomes 16, and 16 becomes 32, and all of a sudden all these new people that were in these smaller classes because of our new normal, and eventually we get back to what we know as normal, but these new people don't know, and we once again are able to open our doors, and we have that dance with 100, 200 plus people. How amazing is that going to feel, everybody? You need to get creative. You have that responsibility if you are a local organizer or a local teacher or even an international teacher to keep this dance alive however you can. I hope this document will be helpful to you as far as giving you some ideas. I am definitely I'm willing to add to this, change it any way you recommend. This is a working document. Please provide some feedback, suggestions, opportunities, and share with people so we keep this great dance alive. I don't know why I always do this. I think I was just going to be able to go through this in like 10 minutes and then talk about level reviews on top of it. Next week, teacher and organizer talk will be level reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got some fun stories for you, and that'll be next week. We're already 36 minutes in. We've had some great comments already. Oh my goodness. Woo, there's all kinds of stuff. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Oh, so that's what okay, let me read some of these comments here. I didn't know that people were chiming in. This is great. That's what our hospital and clinic is doing. Temps get logged every time people come in. Awesome. How do you make an 8-person dance financially feasible? Again, you have to work with the venues. If the venues are not willing to work, like Valerie, there's no way I'm going to go use a venue that costs a lot of money and it's not willing to work with me so that they get some money. I'm sure the venues are hurting as well. The social community venues that have been shut down for months, I'm sure they want some revenue. But again, get creative. I mean, like, in all honesty, like, if somebody has a basement and they're willing to I'm not saying it's the best scenario. Again, please don't take any of these out of context. Like Joel Plys is saying, have classes in your basement. No. I'm saying get creative and maybe slowly we get to that. So how do you make it financially feasible? You got to find the venues that are willing to work with you with the new norm. Explain to them the situation. And again, have it in the contract that if for whatever reason we need to stop classes, you need to be willing to work with us to stop payment until we get back to our normal or back to our availability to do classes. Okay. If you are offering smaller classes, you can stack classes back to back. Or for a period. Carla brings up a good point. So like maybe there's a beginner night where it's just 4 couples and the class is at 6, 7, 8, and 9 for people that want to be late. And that the only thing that's offered that night is a beginner 6-count class. That's it. And then maybe on Tuesdays it's a different topic and a different level. But again, this could give you opportunities to teach. This could give other people opportunities to teach. If there's people that are interested in other things or other genres, give them the chance to teach it, knowing that it's going to be small and build from there. Will this be on YouTube? Yes, I will put this talk on YouTube. Time to clean classes. Yep. I mean, again, Valerie, if all of us are in a situation based on where we are. If the venues are absolutely shut down and there's nothing we can do, we're back to quadrant 1 and back to quadrant 2. We are offering as much as we can virtually, or we are sharing what our friends are doing virtually, and that's how we do this. If that's what we do for the next 6 months to a year, so be it. I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep doing this until we can get back. Again, I'm talking optimistically about getting things back into class situations and whatnot. Venues are hurting. Good discussions. You need to find students that will pay a rate that we're absolutely. Everybody's got to work together on this. It's so crazy. So, Jackie brings up a good point. Maybe we go shorter classes, right? So maybe you only offer a 30 or 40-minute class in order to get more options or more availability. And again, we got to get so creative, people. This is going to be a good thing for us to keep this dance alive. Man, I try to keep these at 30 minutes. Good discussion out there. Check out the comments. I'm going to put this picture out there in the comments on the Facebook feed live. Thank you for your comments. Please provide any and all suggestions, ideas, and whatnot. If you think about it, how grateful, I am super grateful. Like, the fact that this is going on is not ideal. But the fact that I can come live and see so many of you because of social media, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff, it's an amazing time that we live in, right? If this happened pre-Facebook, free video, pre-YouTube, imagine, seriously, the dance could have died if this happened in a time where we weren't able to do exactly what we're doing right now. I mean, I don't think it would have died, because there would have always been those one or two people that remembered it, kept dancing, kept doing things, but it's risky. I know Frankie, when he came out of retirement, was surprised that he saw so many people still doing it, right? And so we carry on that legacy, teachers and organizers. We have that responsibility. Yeah, reach out. Let's support each other. Share all the live feeds. Do what you can in your communities. Talk to each other. Get some good ideas out there. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to the College of Swing Era Knowledge. Monday, Jazz. Tuesday, Charleston. Wednesday, Lindy Hop and Jitterbug. Thursday, Evening Swing right here in Spokane. Friday, Shag. Saturday, Balboa and Bell Swing. And Sundays, a discussion for teachers and organizers. If you found tonight useful at all, I'm not sure it might have brought you any joy, because we talked about some interesting things, but if it gave you any suggestions, if it gave you some insight, I'm going to share the document. Please donate above, right? Please donate to all the live feeds and all the time that the teachers are putting into pulling everything together for all of you. And as always, night, night. Crazy about you all. Stay safe.